and welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Tom Finelli, that's Danny Cannell, that's Bud Elliott. I'm Chip Patterson, coming to you live at youtube.com/cover3. And you know what? Maybe for this one, wherever you get your podcasts on demand. Look, here's the deal. We hinted at this for a couple weeks. We said, you get us to 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, we'll start doing something special for you, the YouTube subscribers. But, we don't want to ignore our awesome, massive, our OGs, the audio subscribers that have been with us even before we were live on YouTube. So just if you are listening to this on the audio side, go and smash that subscribe. You know what to do over at youtube.com/cover3. We'll continue to do these subscriber only live chat hangouts, as we're able to, and as we continue to roll through these benchmarks. Again, this is all a thank you to everybody that has subscribed for getting us to 50,000. We'll see. We keep rolling in with the subscribes. We'll choose our next benchmark, and when we hit it, yeah, that's right. What's up, the Real Coconut? We're about 2018 gang at. Been with us since Barton Simmons came back from Elite 11 and was like, this guy Tua Tuga, I don't know how to pronounce it, is pretty awesome. Like being able to identify what was there from the very beginning. Okay, so keep dropping your questions in the chat. We will try to grab as many as possible over the course of the next 30, 35 minutes or so. I know I've got HQ at the top of the hour, but this is all about y'all. Chris says Thursday's lock spot was one of the best in recent memory. That was pretty awesome. I thought it was epic. Yeah, I mean, multiple guest stars. The Arkansas gaming calendar discussed it with great depth. American and anti-American sentiments spewed all across the all across the world. All right, let's go with something. How about this, Andrew? 2025 Notre Dame quarterback Cam Rising.
Who says no?
Who says no? Does Notre Dame? Notre Dame just lost Tuesday night. I know that they've already turned their quarterback options elsewhere. You think Cam Rising's going to come back for 2025? Does Cam want to?
What else is he going to do, though, for real?
Is he going to be coach?
Yeah, he could coach, I guess. That's we've seen some guys do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I do think that if Cam Rising comes back for 2025, it won't be at Utah. And if it's at a Power 4 school, I'm guessing it'll be at a school on the lower end of the Power 4 tiers.
I mean, JT Daniels ended up all the way at Rice for his seventh year. And
who didn't have any tape.
Right.
That's the thing. You got good tape on Cam Rising. I think he'll find, if he wants to play, I think he'll find a pretty good spot. Granted, I don't think it's a top tier Power 4, looking to, this is the missing piece for a national title. But I think he'll land somewhere pretty good.
I don't think Notre Dame would take him.
Yeah, I don't think Notre Dame would either.
Like CJ Carr or whomever it's going to be.
Plus, isn't Riley back? I mean, doesn't Riley have another year? I don't know if he's going.
Oh, yeah, he should have another year.
Yeah, I think he's got another year. I don't see him going to the NFL. I see him probably playing again.
We thought he might be off to the NFL after a year, but that does not. I would not guess that.
You could use another year of development.
Do you know how you know that this is a special show just for our subscribers?
How?
Because I'm going to pretend Cam Rising's alive.
It's a special show. All right. How about this one, Zach? Do you guys remember the team you were most wrong on in the preseason, either positively or negatively?
Let me see.
I'm wrong a lot. It's hard to remember all the teams I've been wrong on in my life.
I gotta really think, way back to August when I thought Florida State would be a contender, and I kind of was like, all right, they're not going to be a national championship contender, but they're damn sure going to compete in the ACC. And I could not have been more wrong about that. I think there are a lot of people in that boat with me, but that one's a very, very obvious choice.
Looking here through our locks, our win totals locks, just to see which ones I was, most wrong about.
I mean, I was going to say for this year, Oklahoma State and Pitt. in both directions, where I thought Oklahoma State was going to win the Big 12 or contend for it, and I thought Pitt was just going to be near the bottom of the conference. That is so clearly wrong on that one.
I thought Virginia Tech had some very small chance to go undefeated if it all clicked, and like that's obviously not even close to hitting.
I thought they did that. Offense does do some things like they did against Miami before they lost, and I thought that in the game against Boston College last night, you do have some moments watching Virginia Tech this season where you're like, oh yeah, like this is why we were excited. Like they run a lot of that misdirection stuff. They keep the defense off balance. You incorporate the Kyron Drones run game. Like I thought Virginia Tech handled itself well. Obviously got the benefit of a bunch of turnovers every single time Boston College moved the ball, but Virginia Tech's just not Virginia Tech just might need to make some changes on the sideline. I think in general, they're still a pretty decent team.
That's probably fair.
I'll say in 2012, I didn't have them at number 1, but the USC team that began the year ranked number 1 in the AP poll and then finished unranked because it went 7-6. I was pretty high on them coming into the season. I don't think I had them number 1, but I was high on them, and they were duty.
I think I told you guys a player, and I think and I've told you guys this before, but if you guys remember Jeremy Johnson at Auburn, I was ultra high on him. I thought he'd be a Heisman contender, and I don't think he started, he was benched before half the season was gone by, and I don't think Auburn's season went very well. And I thought he was going to work perfectly with the system there. And I think Rhett Lashley was his offensive coordinator because I remember I did a bus tour and they were raving about him there at Auburn.
All right, let's keep it. And like if y'all see anything that you wanna grab that pops up, definitely do it. I've already got about a dozen or so lined up, which should definitely get us covered. What is your favorite or most enjoyable? This is from J.S. Mays. What is your favorite or most enjoyable large upset that you've watched or seen since covering the sport?
Vanderbilt beating Bama.
I was literally going to say that. Like that was epic. Like Bama just knocks off Georgia, and Vandy does that.
Around. Yeah.
Like
and it's our guy Barton. Like there were a lot of reasons.
The spread is not as huge, but like the kick 6, just for how it went down, was pretty. Like there are a lot of insane plays in that game leading up to that, and for it to happen and like change the national title race, and that was pretty wild.
I would say covering CBS to go along the Barton train here. The week he picked Kansas State when they were like plus 2,800 on the money line, and then they beat Oklahoma. That was fun just for living it with Barton. And then before I started working for CBS, I'll go back to the funnest upset I ever watched while working in this sport was Appalachian State beating Michigan in the Big House in the first game on the Big Ten Network, because nobody really saw that one coming.
It was 2007, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
I got a game that I actually called. It was my first year after ESPN. I was here and I was calling games with FS1. Liberty knocked off Baylor in Matt Rule's debut.
I remember that game.
Buckshot Calvert, the quarterback for Liberty, went off in that game. I looked up the Buck score. It was 48-45, points galore all over the place. And it was the point spread, I think, was like 35. It was something astronomically large, and it set the record. But then like a week or two later, there was another upset, and I can't remember that one, that broke the record that we called. It was insane.
Was that the Howard?
Howard beating UNLV?
Yes, that was the one. It was like a week or two later.
Cam Newton's little brother.
Yeah.
That's
Caleb.
Probably never getting broken, right?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Most enjoyable large upset. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm just still stuck on Vandy because enjoyable has to go with all the Barton side of that, and then getting him on the show and yada yada. All right, let's go with the quarterback. Danny, I'll throw this to you first. Chances Drew Allar elevates himself to the first pick in the draft next April. What have you seen from Drew? Do you see like the kinds of traits that would translate to NFL draft type?
I mean, he reminds me of Josh Allen when he plays. I mean, he just hasn't had that big play capability yet. But I've referenced it a couple times on here, that 4th and 10 conversion where he kind of found a little bit of time, made the play, kept the game alive. I thought he made some big progress. And I think I told you guys going into that game, he had 556 attempts and 3 interceptions before that game. And I was like, that's kind of a good and a bad thing because you want to like push him a little bit to start stretching the field, like take some risk. It's okay. And I know he had 3 picks, but I was actually kind of happy that he did that. It wouldn't shock me, but I don't think it happens. Like he's got the traits for sure. I mean, I remember when I was in Columbus for the Ohio State game, he walked right by me and I was like, that dude is huge. Like he's a big kid, baby face. He's got a cannon for an arm. I think he still has to, if he continues to admit, I also thought that game could be like this perception altering, career altering, like what direction does it go? I think that could propel him to the type of career that Penn State wants him to have. Now let's see him do it again against Ohio State at home. But, if he plays well as he did in that game and eliminates some of the interceptions and still stretches the field, he could be in the conversation. I wouldn't say the first pick.
I'm getting yelled at Penn State fans for 2 days because of my quarterback power rankings not having Drew Allar in the top 10 this week. So this is a great question. Honestly, I will say I thought that Drew Allar's performance against USC was his worst performance of the season. I know he had the game-winning drive, but I thought overall he didn't play great. I mean, he didn't play bad, but compared to how he'd been playing in previous games, I thought it was his weakest performance. It's like I get what you're saying about the interceptions. One was a Hail Mary, so I don't care. But the other 2, I don't think that was being aggressive as much as they were terrible decisions. Like he threw into coverage. So as far as the NFL draft is concerned, yeah, he's got a chance. I think that he was a 5-star recruit for a reason. Like he's got the build, he's got the arm, he's got everything that you kind of want from that standpoint. And I think that if you look at the quarterback class going in, there really isn't a surefire guy who's going to be the number 1 pick. I think it's going to come down to like the combine and private workouts with teams, and somebody's going to fall in love, and that's who's going to be the first quarterback taken. So I would say he's got a chance to do it.
I mean, look, Jayden Daniels was nowhere near the first round conversation after 2022.
Yeah.
And then he went nuts in 2023. So it can happen. Like
it's a
if you have the skills, it can happen.
It is a soft competition right now for QB1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We mean the 2026 draft, right? We're not talking about him coming out this year.
I think he's talking about this April.
3rd season. Yeah.
Oh,
that's why I was like, no.
I'd be really skeptical if it's just this year. Yeah, he said next April. You're right. No, I can't see that. But we still have a lot of football left. Maybe so.
Baby face, great build, chia pet hair. Well, how do we describe that little the salad that he's got up there?
The poof.
Yeah, it's like a poof.
It's got a little curly poof.
Yeah,
it's in with the kids these days. I think Connor Wegman has the same haircut, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a guy that could be mutually beneficial for Penn State for him to come back and for them to throw an absolute bag at him and to continue to develop.
My parents have old Christmas ornaments from their very first Christmas. It's just a clothespin that's been painted and a little red poof on top. So it looks like just a little poof in there.
There's top 3, top 4-ish: Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, Shador, and Jalen Milroe. And then right behind him is Garrett Nussmeier, Drew Allar, Jackson Dart, odds-wise. All those 3 at 30-1. The other one's, a little bit higher. But I think he could play his way into that conversation.
Let's go.
Anybody? Hold on, Bud. Do you want to take those Jalen Milroe odds?
What were they?
he's like the top 3
plus 1,000.
You want to take those?
Be the number 1 overall pick?
Probably not.
Do you have a show bet right now?
What's Nussmeier sitting at?
No, I'm just saying
30-1.
Okay.
I think sometimes the odds in these markets are more determined by the amount of fans betting them than they are the actuality of the draft pick.
Yeah.
You don't think Jalen Milroe could be a top 5 pick?
I definitely do.
Yeah,
he could be.
I mean, look, if Daniels can, he can, right?
Except Jayden had taken
Jaden's a precise
steps forward by this point.
Are we assuming Milroe's leaving after this year, or does he have another year?
I think he could use another year.
Yeah,
I think yeah.
And especially, see, this is the advantage of today's NIL. Like before, he might have been like, I got to go. I want to get paid. They can pay him a few $1,000,000, bring him back, develop, and then you increase your chances of getting a bigger payday in the NFL. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back.
Yeah.
who are some of your favorite periphery stars from the last decade plus, parentheses 2010 on? By this, I mean a player who wasn't the star of the team, but always seemed to make plays or be the ultimate team guy.
So like the Xavier Restrepo All-Stars.
I get, yeah,
Ooh.
sure.
I feel like Vatek's had a couple of these dudes actually, who did not end up being like superstars in the league, but like they were really, really good players. It's a good question.
I got one.
All right, who you got?
Do you remember Scooby Wright?
From
Yep.
Arizona?
Mhm.
3-star Scoobs. I think that's what they called him. He was a fun player to watch, man. He was like an ultimate college player. He was fun. But he got pretty good stardom, but like he wasn't a huge NFL guy.
Mo Ibrahim, but I guess he would be a star at Minnesota because the entire team was built around him. Does Chucky Keaton count?
I mean, he was the star of the team.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm thinking of like guys from smaller schools, but they were technically stars on their team, so it's hard off the top of my head.
I was a big fan. This is another one that's not like it was a star. Was Jordan Lynch, the Northern Illinois quarterback?
Yeah.
You were pounding the table for him for Heisman. I think he ended up going to New York. He didn't come close to winning, but I do think he went.
Does Jake Haener count?
He was going to have FSU on his knees, remember, in the Orange Bowl? And then,
Yeah.
Not so much.
Is Jake Haener a star? Can I get Jake Haener?
I think Jake Haener counts. I mean, like he was the star of that team, but he wasn't like a huge national star.
Yeah, he was literally like a high school Friday Night Lights QB, like the TV show, in that he died every weekend, and it always came down to the last possession.
Yeah. There's a good one there. It's like, what's the worst beat you've ever taken as far as like bad beats?
Do you have a doc?
Yeah, I guarantee he does.
No, I don't, but I know the game.
Joel says, "Congrats, guys." Well, thank you, Joel. I need an all-time bad beat story from the lock shows or otherwise.
So Logan, Utah, November 25th, 2022. So Utah State catching 18, I think.
Mhm.
And so game is going basically according to plan, or if you like Utah State, you're mostly cool here. Like Boise's not blowing them out. At one point it's 28-10, and then Utah State scores in the third quarter. So like you go to the fourth quarter, 28-17, and then Utah State scores again to cut it to 28-23. So you're feeling pretty good here overall. I mean, you're catching 18 and you're only trailing by 5 now, right? However, the problem is this. Just absolute dumbassery. All right, so they score, and then Utah State drives down, and of course they're trying to win the game because they get another stop. Boise only kills 2 minutes 25 seconds off the clock. So Utah State gets the ball with 5 minutes 28 seconds left. They're down by 5. So you would think, okay, trailing by 5, catching 18, you're okay. They start on their own 17. They drive the ball down to the Boise 11, and then Lagasse pass incomplete. Lagasse runs for a loss of 3 yards. Then 4th and 9 at the Boise 14. Okay, and this is with a minute and 28 seconds left. So you're getting plus 18. You're down 5. Minute 28 left. Lagasse throws a pick, and Boise takes it all the way back, I believe. Right? No, actually, that's not what happens. He throws a pick. Boise then takes it, and instead of just running out the clock, Taylon Green runs 91 yards for a touchdown. But you're still okay because you're catching 18, right? So 35-23. Game really should be over at this point. Not true. Utah State drives it. They're at their own 33. It's 4th and 17, 31 seconds left. Lagasse throws a pick 6. The game finishes 42-23, which is 19, not 18. Like, to go from covering by almost 2 scores with a minute 33 left to losing. Brutal. Like, that's sneaky, really tough. I've got another one too, but somebody else share.
Mine is, what was it? What year was it? The Houston Tulane game.
Oh, yeah.
Where there was the crazy whatever in the very last second, the meaningless score or somebody. Oh God, I don't know. I've had too many to actually remember, but I remember the Houston Tulane game from a couple of years ago where there was like a touchdown in the final minute that should not have been scored because Houston could have just kind of finished the game out, went to overtime, and then I ended up losing my bet. But I don't really remember my bad beats.
Yeah,
they don't
live with me. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a goldfish out here. In case you can't tell, the
I got one.
Now the worst bad beat of all time is Eli kicking that field goal 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh,
I got one.
Yeah.
You guys want one?
yeah.
October 15th, 2008. Thought the market had bottomed and it went down another 738 points. And your boy here was trying to catch the bottom, loaded up, margin to the limits. We're talking 10x. It was a high six figures loss that day. That's why I'm here schlepping it with you boys here 6 days a week on the Cover 3 podcast.
I got a sneaky one I don't think anybody will ever talk about because it's not like an end of game bad beat. It's just like a 3-hour bad beat. Okay. So Minnesota, Eastern Michigan, this is from last year. Minnesota's hosting Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan is not very good. Minnesota is laying 20. Okay. And they outgained them by, I think, 380 yards. They ran for 300 total yards, and Eastern Michigan had like 150. Eastern Michigan had 150 total yards. Minnesota like ran for 300 on its own. However, in the red zone, they had the most just clown nonsense ever. Look, so they drive down 4th and 1 at Eastern Michigan 2. Calic Manis runs for a loss of 2, so they don't score. Then drive it down again, 4th and goal at the Eastern Michigan 6. Okay, do you go for it? No, kick a field goal. So good, 3-0. All right, later in the game, they drive it all the way down, 4th and goal at the Eastern Michigan 1. PJ Fleck, whose team is running for 300 yards in this game, kicks a field goal from the 1. All right, next, we drive it down. Cool. 1st and 10 at the Eastern Michigan 30. Sean Tyler rushes for no gain. Then Calic Manis throws a pick. And then at the very end of the game, or not the very end of the game, but close to it, Calic Manis does decide to try to throw for it, and he can't get it. So Minnesota 25, Eastern Michigan 6 in a game where I think if you did like the projected adjusted box score or whatever you want, is probably like a 31, 35 point win since you held the opponent to 150 total yards and you had like close to 500. So
I like that Danny's wife saw the trading book when he was trying to use it as a prop and got very concerned.
Now you know why.
I remember. I know what it was now.
Too.
Yeah.
I know what my bad beat was. 2019. I had Houston +5. It was 31-28. Houston's trailing. They kick a field goal with 21 seconds left. So the game's going to overtime. I've got a decent chance of winning. Houston squib kicks with like 20 seconds left. Tulane just kind of, one of their offensive linemen gets it, just immediately goes down at the 29-yard line. And then with 3 seconds left, Tulane throws a pass, and it's a 53-yard touchdown. And Houston was not playing just dropping back everybody back. They played like a regular base-ass defense. And a guy gets wide open over the middle of the field with 3 seconds left and goes and scores. Houston +5 does not cover.
Gosh.
All right, let's bring it back to this season. Do you all think that USC can run the table and be 8-3 when Notre Dame week comes? So for USC to run the table, that would require moving forward wins against Maryland this week. Then they get Rutgers at home. They are at Washington, Nebraska at home, at UCLA. That would put them at 8-3 before Notre Dame's visit to the Coliseum.
I mean, they can, because the schedule does lighten up, as you just kind of read through there. But with the injuries that they're suffering on defense, I just don't know if it's possible. Like, it's going to be hard for me to sit there and think that they're going to be able to just outscore teams every single week, because I feel like they're going to have to outscore teams every single week. And if they couldn't do that with Caleb Williams, I don't know how they're going to do it with Miller Moss.
I think that's right. Like, it's just, I'm concerned this weekend a little bit, even though I don't think Maryland's any good. That was USC's home run effort, and they actually played fairly well and still lost to Penn State. So it's hard to play like that good football back-to-back weeks. It just is, unless you're just totally overwhelming.
Cross-country travel.
Yeah, right? Like,
because
are you really that excited to go play Maryland? Probably not.
Once they're done with this one, though, they're done going to the East Coast. The only, you go cross town to play UCLA, and everybody is like told me, and I understand, okay? One time to get to LA, I did have to go to Seattle first and then go to Seattle, LA. Seattle to LA is a long flight. I understand that. But I think that you are largely going to be able to stay on the West Coast from here on out if you're a USC. If you can get through this Maryland game, yes, I can see it. But to your point, Tom, it's just going to be a different kind of football. You're hoping you can go out there and outscore them.
Lincoln took some heat for his comments about scheduling for a national championship. And he was like, Nick Saban did it. You look at the schedule, it is brutal. There is no time where you can just go through the motions and easily get a win. That was Utah State. That game is gone. These are some serious, and this is what stinks for them, is their defense is so beat up already. Like every single game is going to be physical that they have left. Maybe UCLA, but even UCLA is starting to fight better. Huh? Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to the Big Ten. None of that sissy West Coast football anymore. You got to play big, beefy, corn-fed boys.
Oregon sure is struggling with it, aren't they?
A little bit.
All right. Let's go down memory lane. DK, what was the deciding factor in going to Florida State?
2. Bobby Bowden and Mark Richt. That was one factor. Really love those guys. Loved the relationship I built with them. Recruiting, felt they were very trustworthy. My family loved them, like handed me off to them. And the other was being able to play baseball. A lot of teams told me I could play 2 sports, but they didn't have any evidence of it. Florida State had Dion. They had Kenny Felder, who literally was doing it right while I was being recruited. So those were the 2 main reasons.
Also the money.
And the bag.
I was going to say it was nothing to do with the co-eds that were on campus either.
No, 100%. Danny was a saint when he was on his official visit to Florida.
Can I answer one more from Paul there? Paul Circo, who just chimed in with a question towards the bottom.
Screen.
He said, can you tell us about asking to see Tajh Boyd's study partners, which is a clip that's gone viral. Like every few years, it'll recirculate. So I was on a late night show at ESPN. ESPN Unite, you know it. And so we would get these guests, and it was Zoom. Like it was very cutting edge. Like nobody used Zoom or Skype or anything. So we had Tajh Boyd, and pre-interview, he was setting up his microphone, and there were like these 3 girls that were in his room, and they were just hanging out, and they were like, hi. And they were like, hanging out with them. And he was, of course, like, oh, hold on, I got to do an ESPN interview. Like he was trying to big dog it. So then we did like a straight interview on Clemson, what it's meant, what games were coming up. Last throwaway question, I was like, Tajh, I'm like, so what you got going on tonight? He's like, oh, I'm just studying a little bit. And I was like, oh, I said, can you show us who you're studying with? Like, show us some of your study partners. And he was like, his eye like got this smile on his face. He's like, sure, come on in. And they like came, they waved, and they were like, hi. And we got a note from Tim Beret. You guys know who he is, the SID, longtime SID. There was one other question from my comedian sidekick that was a little offensive, but he didn't like any of it. And he was like, listen, if you guys do this again, he's like, no more Clemson players, off limits. But it was pretty hilarious. It was awesome. Tajh, a great dude. He doesn't get enough credit for kind of starting this Clemson run because he played really well for a long time. He was a really, really good college quarterback.
He was the quarterback to win the first ACC title that the program had in 20 years, and was
he the quarterback that beat Ohio State in the Orange Bowl? I think he might have been. It was not like it was just an Orange Bowl. It was not a playoff. It was not a CFP.
That was Braxton Miller, Ohio State. I think so.
Well, because what's his name? Watson played in 2 title games.
So all right, I got you. Cole Stout starts 2014 as the starter. Deshaun comes in. Deshaun wrecks his knee. Deshaun only plays 6 games in the 2014 season. Comes back in 2015 as the full-time starter. They go undefeated, 1 seed going into the playoff, lose to Alabama Deshaun comes back in 2016. They beat Alabama. So the Tajh Boyd run, I think, is 10, 11, 12, 13.
Yes, which is around. Hold on, let me look. Because it was pre-Deshaun, and they played him in the Orange
it would have
Bowl.
had to be him, right? If they won. Pretty sure they didn't beat Ohio State.
It was 2014. It was 2014.
Well,
but I don't know if it was that wasn't Tajh then, right?
No. But the 2014 Orange Bowl would have reverted back. Because 2013 Tajh played super well. It was just the game that literally
lost to Florida State.
Yeah, well, so LaMarcus Joyner runs onto the field late, and it basically creates a defense that, like, I don't think you're really expecting FSU to run because he just kind of runs. And I think they ended up picking him off with 10 guys on the field, and then that was the Jameis game where Kelvin Benjamin just went nuts. It was like, I don't know, 52, whatever it was. But
yeah, the 2013 season, the Orange Bowl, Clemson 40, Ohio State 35. Tajh Boyd was Clemson's starting quarterback.
And Dabo, I remember because I covered it. I was with ESPN, and Dabo said something after the game that really irritated a lot of Ohio State fans. It was like their arrival moment. Of course, Dabo had a great soundbite after the game. Who would think? But I remember being there and covering it. I have to go. Thank you for all our followers. 50,000 is pretty cool. We're on our way to 100,000. Beard forever. If we get there, no promises.
Yeah. We'll take you at your word on that one. All right.
Tajh ran for 127 yards in that game.
Well, yeah, because I think that might have been right before Chad left. If not, it was the first year of the Jeff Scott, Tony Elliott co-coordinators. Mm-hmm. But that was it. Like, Chad Morris comes in. They've got Nuke Hopkins, Sammy Watkins, and Tajh Boyd was the man. He was the quarterback, not the quarterback. Of course he was the quarterback. He was the point guard. Like, he was the one who was like making all the decisions, playing in the up tempo, having defenses on their heels. I think you might have had Andre Ellington as your running back there too. So it was
game it was Roderick McDowell.
Oh God. Oh, Rod McDowell.
Sammy Watkins had 16 catches for 227 yards.
Reagan, how hot does the hot seat get for Sonny Dykes if TCU does not make a bowl?
What's his buyout? Like, I assume he got some kind of extension after the Natty game, right?
I think that so there's two conversations here, and because I think there is the will he get fired, which I understand is the end result of the hot seat, but that doesn't change. Do TCU fans start to be like, what's going on here? That's
fair.
Is this a Gene Chizik situation? Is this and not, I know that I always get called out for that, but it's just always in my mind how quickly you can go from top of the sport to out the paint pretty fast.
Dykes got extended through 2028 after the title game appearance. So guessing the buyout will be somewhat hefty, but who knows?
They got money. Yeah. If they need to.
All right, let's go. Let's keep it right here in the immediacy. What game are you most looking forward to this weekend?
Illinois, Michigan.
That's easy.
Probably Miami, Louisville. Could be wrong. Just seems like that's the main test that Miami's going to see until the end of the regular season.
Right.
So if you're trying to kind of benchmark these guys, like, what are they really? But also, like, are we trying to get cute with this? Georgia, Texas is an absolute banger.
No, I'm not. I was going to say that. Like, I just in terms.
I didn't want to take yours, but
no, but I mean, just like in terms of overall, like, quality, stakes, and then also because we are in the business of like engaging with all the fans, the reaction, no matter what happens, is going to be like loud. Like a very, very loud reaction. And that's something that's always just going to get my juices flowing. My juices flow all the time.
There are no stakes.
It's a good weekend of games. Like, yeah. You got the big name teams, and then you also have like the kind of upper medium name teams that have the good records that also get us excited because there's real stakes attached to them. And you got a lot of fan bases that have like a real chance to get further excited about their team.
Oh, obviously Indiana, Nebraska, my war against the rest of the Cover 3 podcast.
I think Wisconsin Northwestern's got some stakes to it. Like, that's not going to be like top of mind, but that's what is that, like the third or fourth best noon game? That's not too terrible on a noon slate.
LSU Arkansas. Again, another one where just like there's a lot of people that care about that game a whole lot.
Absolutely.
All right. And then a reminder, 11:30 p.m. Eastern time, if you want to come and join us, we'll be recapping all of those games. All right. Back to childhood. Could you tell us your favorite team of all time to watch for a single season? Wasn't quite sure how to pick this apart, so I'll let you sort of take your liberties with it in terms of like a single year, a single team, something that you remember loving, all, watching them go.
I mean, like for me, and I'm sitting with my son because like last night I let him stay up to watch some of the Yankees Guardians series, and like I don't know, I don't know when you start forming your fandom, but like I was 8 in '93 watching the watching that Knowles team, which was cool. Like I remember being really sad when they lost to the Irish, and then coming back, and then Nebraska missing the field goal there in the national championship game in the Orange Bowl. Like that team had like so many studs on it, and it was just like the age where you're like, oh wow, like that's, and they were good enough to where at least growing up in South Florida, like they were on TV pretty much every week. So that was, I mean, there weren't a whole lot of games that they weren't broadcast.
Yeah, I mean, define childhood. How old can I be?
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing is,
are we going to reveal our ages here? I don't know.
Well, I mean, we didn't have a college football world growing up where we got to watch all the games.
Right.
Yeah, I just got like 1 or 2 games a week.
Right. And so it's like, it was very hard for me to watch an entire season of any team if I wasn't going to the games. And as you guys know, I got 500 football in my backyard. So there's some real highs and lows when you ride that train. Like, was it awesome when Julius Peppers and North Carolina beat Florida State in 2001? Like, yeah, I was at that game. That place was awesome. But that 2001 North Carolina team was not like my favorite team to watch every other game of the year.
That 2001 season, I watched the hell out of some college football, by the way. Like, that was a really cool season because you had some like legitimate Big 12 drama, Yep. That Colorado team, that was a fun team to watch. Like when they pantsed Nebraska there in in my mind, it's snowing in that game. Maybe it's not, but it was definitely like cold snowing. Yeah, like, and I love those Colorado uniforms, like those like throwbacks with the high white socks, like that. Like the black on black gold helmet, high white socks is actually a pretty solid look.
Pickup truck size shoulder pads. Yeah,
like that was a fun team to watch because they also beat Texas in the Big 12 title game, right? And then Oregon beat them in the Fiesta Bowl, but that was fun because they went on quite a run.
I would say if it's a pre-drinking age, I will say the 2001 Fighting Illini, because it was the first time I was actually able to watch every game a football team played in college, and they went to the Sugar Bowl, and then I went there with them.
Ooh, in New Orleans?
Oh,
I was 21 by the time they got to New Orleans, but not before.
Yeah, I don't know if like because the college football national scene, from my perspective, growing up in childhood, was that you knew Florida State was the monster, and you were like, I remember the Virginia game that Danny talks about. Like the very first. How many games in a row was it when that Florida State won in ACC play without losing?
24, 25.
They join in 92 and they don't lose till 95 against anybody. Yeah, and like every single conference record for Florida State until 2000 is either like undefeated or one loss, undefeated or one loss. So my college football experience was like, yeah, you followed Florida State because they were just sort of the monster in your conference, but I wasn't rooting for them. It wasn't like they were my favorite team. I was just very aware. And then you would go see how they would play. Like I liked Tommy Frazier, that was super fun to watch those Nebraska teams. I
remember rooting for that Nebraska team to beat the crap out of Florida. Yeah. Like we were at a watch party, and I remember like my parents, a couple of Knowles people were like, "You don't want Florida to win this. Like, let's go.
Come on, let's go. Let's turn this."
They were real confident coming in, and then Nebraska was hitting the weight room.
Yeah.
They're hitting that weight room good.
They're hitting that weight room real hard.
Hitting that weight room.
Yeah, just a lot of cardio. Jump rope.
Let's see. What else? Anything else to stand out you want to make sure that we grab here?
Let's see. Well, definitely want to thank everybody as well. What's your favorite game so far this year? We already did favorite upset, I guess.
I'm still gonna say Vanderbilt.
I do think
Alabama,
Georgia was a banger.
Yeah,
Like that was insane. Let me see what else.
The Geno
favorite game I ever watched on air was the Miami not taking a knee, Georgia Tech somehow driving 85 yards in 2 plays. Like that was epic.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the Miami Virginia Tech game too.
Oh, this year.
Yeah,
for a lot of stupid reasons.
That was pretty wild.
Yeah.
What's the most amount of losses you'd expect a team to have to make the playoff? Yeah, I can't see a team getting in with 4 this year, just with the number of teams who haven't lost. But I do think we'll see a 3-loss team, maybe 2. I think, do we see more than 1 3-loss non-champion?
Yes.
You think we see more than 1?
No. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it meant including the non-champion. Yeah, I think we'll see 1 at-large 3-loss team.
I think that's where I'm at too.
Mm-hmm.
1 at-large 3-loss team, probably from the SEC.
Right. And that's how they can kind of get around the 5 or the 12 seed is always the G5. Like, oh no, because you got 3 losses, we're gonna put you down at 12. We'll put that G5 team at 11.
That G5 team needs to have like a 0 or a 1. Like,
right. It probably needs to be Boise with the 1 in the loss column,
and Boise's 1 in the loss column is going to count it like a half.
Well, right. I mean, it's the same margin of defeat, right, that Ohio State had.
Yeah.
Can you imagine my reaction on this show when a 3-loss team gets a home game in the first round? Jesus. When they put that 9-3 Ole Miss at number 8 and make them play like the 11-1 team from another league.
Oh my God.
I'm starting to cook up this theory that that Georgia might have a Hungry Huskies kind of run, where it's like the number 9 seed has made it all the way to the title game, and it's like, yeah, but that number 9 seed is Georgia, right? Like they've already got the loss.
It's a basketball reference. I get it now. Yeah.
So the Hungry Huskies, UConn goes to win the national championship from like either the 7, 8, or 9 line, and so in theory, you're like, wow, look at this incredible, Cinderella story. But it's like, yeah, but it's UConn, and I'm starting to think that Georgia's going to accumulate enough losses that they are going to get slotted where they have to play a road game in the first round. But it's Georgia. And then all of a sudden, you knock off, you get 1 win against a top ranked team in the quarterfinals, bracket opens up. I mean, I'm going to be on my Jerry Palm. No, actually, Jerry Palm's about the projection. I'm going to be on my March Madness through and through once we start to get this. I'm going to tell you all about bracket luck. You take down that 1 seed, things open up.
They do, man.
Yeah. Like that trash seeding that had Loyola as an 8 seed. What was that, 21, Tom?
Yeah.
21 or 22?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were 12 in KenPom, and they were 8 in their own region.
That's going to be Georgia.
Thanks, bracket.
That's going to be Georgia, 4 in a power rating, 9 in the bracket, based on the seeding principles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's great.
All right. This show should have 500,000 easy. Thank you, Jay.
Super Jay's right.
That.
No doubt.
He is 100%. All right.
So Super Jay, you should create 495,000 burner accounts and subscribe them all to the show. Come on, Tailgate Army, show us how much you care.
Like, we like the round numbers, and obviously we said, like, hey, you're never going to watch, like, subscribe. And if you hear this on the podcast version still, yeah, for sure. If we drop it on there. But like, if you look at our metrics, I do sincerely, like, I guarantee you a larger percentage of our subscribers listen to us than like almost any other show out there. Like, if you're subbed, because we didn't build it in ways that are like just not just like where you get non-fans of the show to come in, but they only see like a part of the channel and they never actually clip over to your channel. Like, the people who subscribe to our show watch our show, which is actually, for us, as far as like continuity and building the show, it's huge.
Yes, our subscriber base has been built organically, and they are humans. They are sick humans, but we are sick too. And this is what we do. We come together for each other. They are actually people. And
like
we come together for it.
Yeah, I don't know, just to get into like the YouTube nitty gritty. If you have like 200,000 subs, but it's very clear like everybody just subbed to it because you were putting like viral highlights, YouTube shorts on there, and you're never able to convert those people over to your actual like videos, then you don't make any money on the channel, right? Because it's hard, like the subs, the shorts monetize at like such a small rate that it's like cool, but so like I don't know. Maybe our bosses would like if we had 100,000. I think I would just because it's a cool round number. But as far as like, I don't know that advertisers care about that. Maybe they do. Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate y'all. We will be back Saturday night, 11:30 p.m. Eastern time. Come join us to recap a massive day in college football. And you can follow him on Twitter at Tom Fernell. You can follow him at Bud83. You can follow me at Chip_Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Love you all. Thanks for subscribing.
Thank you.